What's up, guys? Welcome back to another wrap-up video. We're going to talk about last week's training today, and you can look at my mustache if you like. So we'll start off with day one, equipped squats, equipped bench. Now, this was my first session with my straps taken in and my hips taken in on my squat suit. So I found that it was definitely harder to maintain a good trunk position. I tended to get a little bit folded in the bottom. It's probably barely visible on the video, but my first two reps, I think, what was I at? 330 and 337 and a half. Things felt really good, but I was getting a little bit folded. And by my last rep at, I believe, 342 and a half, yeah. I cut it a little bit high. So my 337 and a half, I think, was right where I need to be. And to try to avoid getting folded by the tighter straps, I cut my last rep a little bit higher, and it is what it is. I do know on the day I'm going to have to bury it. This is the CPU, and there are going to be OPA judges there, and they are notoriously picking, which, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But anyways, moving on from there, I did a set of 5 at 295, which went really well. Really, I don't know, the reps in the suit are a thing that I really enjoy. I find they're a really good learning tool. I'm a big advocate of them. So if you are new to equipped lifting, I definitely recommend getting into your full kit and doing a set of 5. It's a feeling like no other. Moved on to my first session with the sleeves taken in my new shirt. And I took my sleeves in maybe 2 or 3, I don't know how much that is, 2 centimeters maybe. And it felt really good. So my first rep at 225, I misgrooved pretty good. Now one of the big things that I fight with in my shirt is how far back to bring it. I find it's really easy for me to throw the bar too far back, and then I get out of the shirt and it's really tough to lock out. So I almost have to throw it back, and then it feels like I'm pressing it back out to finish, but it's more just keeping it going straight up. So I did a better job of that with 230 on my second rep. I was very happy with that one. And then I took 232 and a half just because that's what Ben was taking, and I couldn't let him beat me that day. So the 232 and a half was a little bit closer to a 9, but again, very good rep, good touch, good press. The shirted bench is going very well right now, knock on wood. My set of 5 there was 212 and a half, and again, felt really good. Everything to about a 2 board range, and probably a solid 8.5, 9 RPE there. My equipped deadlifts the next day went really well. My equipped deadlift is starting to feel like it did back when I competed at, I did the back-to-back Raw and then equipped nationals, in the opposite order. And then I did the Arnold about a week later. And I really feel like I could have pulled 400 at that time. And I'm starting to get back into feeling like that, feeling like my technique is as crisp and as consistent as it was during that period of time. So that's a really good indication, I think. So that day I took 355, 360, and 365 for singles. I think the 360 was probably my best that day. The 365, if you watch very closely, I filmed it from a side angle. I've been really picky on my position lately, and you'll see my shoulders just ever so slightly roll forward as the bar comes off the floor. The 360, I did a way better job of keeping the shoulder blades glued down. And these are the kinds of things that, for me, especially when I get to competition weights, makes a big difference. That's the difference between my 388 at Worlds, where I kind of came forward a little bit, and the 391 that was a rocket with a great lockout that I just didn't hold for long enough. Moved on from that, did pin press, and I think this day pin press was really bugging my shoulders, so I just kind of made it through. I got up to a 165 single at an 8. 155 for a triple, some back down work. Nothing super remarkable about this specifically. And then, as per usual, did my 600 tempo Bulgarian split squats. And those are they're just a thing that you have to experience, like doing a set of 5 in full equipment. Actually, another thing of note, I did 322 and a half for my set of 5. and it felt really, really good, really smooth. The sets of 5 in the suit, I think, are a really big indication of how things are going overall, especially when it comes to my deadlift. So seeing that move really well and getting into that feeling of just ragdolling the bar on those is, yeah, it feels good. It feels good. It feels like I'm getting my feet back under me, so to speak. My comp raw squat went really well again. Worked up to a set of 5 at 232.5 kilos. So consistently over 500 pounds again on these. Not feeling any hip pain. Again, kind of maintaining position in the hole, not getting too shifty left or right or popping forward, not losing my back position too much. And I'm not really pushing these at a very aggressive pace, but just kind of trying to stay within my prescribed RPEs, making sure that my technique is where it needs to be for things to feel good and continue to move and have room to grow throughout the rest of the training block. My bench this day, my raw bench, had 147.5 kilos, 150. Hit 150 kilos for 4 triples, which is really good volume for me. I managed to keep all of my sets no lower than 0.2 meters per second, which is a really good indication for me, especially when it comes to volume work, especially when it comes to the bench. My bench tends to fall off really fast, so keeping that last rep quick is a big thing for me mentally to be able to continue to press on with the volume. So being able to hold that up, I think was a really sort of big win that day. Finished off with close grip mid-range pin press, and definitely overshot my last set. This was a super novel exercise, the first time I've done it, and I found that it was really easy early on, and then I kind of made a really big jump in the loads that I was using, and now I'm starting to figure it out. Kind of bounced between the ditches a couple of times, you know, just trying to course correct and get the right weight on the bar. So a little bit overshot on that. Now my day 4, I think, was actually probably one of the more interesting days of this whole block. There was a gentleman named Mitch who came in. Shout out Mitch if you're watching. He came in to try out some equipment. And he's never lifted in knee wraps before. He's never used a slingshot, so that was where we started with him. So I was wrapping knees in between sets of my deadlift against chains. And partly that, partly just not really feeling technically on that day, maybe being a little bit distracted. There were a whole bunch of factors at play. But anyways, I got up to my top set, which should have been 330 kilos plus chains, and it came 2 inches, 3 inches off the floor and just died. Shoulders rolled way too far forward, and it was pretty defeating. It was tough to recover from that, but one thing that I did was I was able to effectively coach myself, which is something I'm not necessarily super good at, but I was able to give myself the advice I would give a trainee. So I cut about 20 kilos off my volume set and then started bringing it back up slowly as things started to feel better throughout my back off work. So I was about 20 kilos shy on my set of 4, which I actually didn't film because, again, I was a little bit rattled. And then I came back up to 275 for a set of 4, and then up again to 277.5 for a set of 4, which is exactly where my back off sets should have been. So I think not letting a bad rep or a bad lift turn into a bad session is kind of a good takeaway or a good lesson to be able to kind of course correct from those kinds of things. And you know, shit happens. I think a lot of people don't post that stuff, and I didn't, simply because it was too much video editing to put a number of videos together, and I just didn't find the time. But I also wanted to talk about it in this video. Moved on from there, hit a mid-range pin press at 190 kilos, which I was really, really happy with, and then did my front squats up to, I think, 160 that day. So again, those felt really good. Training overall is moving in a really, really positive direction. As it stands right now, I just finished my day 2 of the next week, and everything's going really, really well. So that's it for the training wrap up today, but we're gonna throw it over to question of the week. If you guys are interested in that, click here. Okay, so our question of the week comes from Dongle O'Longle, and his question is, how do you mentally prepare between attempts? It's not something that many athletes talk about, and I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say about it. So we're gonna take a look at some mental training science, and I'm also gonna talk about some of the visualization and the way that I do it leading into a big competition. Check it out.